Yo, 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 it's your boy, Rocket. I'm back for another video. We're actually gonna talk about a Nintendo Switch Direct today. It's gonna be a little different than our previous videos that we have been making lately. If you all want to look into that, please do. But I just thought that maybe it would be best to talk about the Nintendo Direct for a little bit, just because we have to address the elephant in the room, and I'm hella hyped. Really hyped for the Nintendo Switch 2, and there's a lot of things going on in this new chapter for Nintendo. So that's why I did wanted to maybe make a video out of it. I really didn't think I was gonna do one, but it was just too good to pass it. um I guess just to talk about the things that I thought was very interesting, and my 2 cents into it. Not that anybody cares, but hopefully you stick with it. But anyways, just jumping right in. um we did find out that the Nintendo will be coming out in June 5th, of course, of this year. That's huge. We've been expecting this for a couple of years now, and we were always wondering how does the Nintendo was gonna look, what kind of features it was gonna have, what kind of changes we were gonna see as new, and now we do. Now we have it. So I wanted to just talk about real quick about the system itself. And so why do we want to talk about the system itself first? Well, because everyone always is pretty interested on wanting to know what's under the hood of anything, right? So right now we are looking at a 7.9-inch screen. The previous Nintendo did have a 6.2, which was perfect at the time, but it's a nice change to have a bigger screen. And with the bigger screen, there's a bigger controller, so we'll see how that feels in our hand when we're playing handheld. But also moving on, we do have the it'll be running at 120 rather than the 60 fps, so that's pretty interesting that we're gonna have more frames per second in the new Nintendo Switch 2. So that's a plus, just because things are gonna run a lot more smoother. We might be playing some games that are a little bit more advanced, and of course, with more advanced games, sometimes we do get a drag and stuff like that, and the frames don't come out at the same time that they should. So it's gonna be pretty good to have a bigger frame per second. The Nintendo's also gonna come out with the LCD screen, which is not bad. I mean, I think that's good. um it's always a good start to it. I'm sure later on they're gonna bring out the OLED for those that do want to purchase it. So expect HDR support as well when you're playing handheld. And I think they also mentioned that it would be 4K, when you're using the docking system. So expect that. We'll see how that's gonna work, or a little bit more information later on when they present everything. And of course, which games are gonna support the 4K, especially using the docking system, or if we could actually get some 4K outside of the docking system. So it would be interesting how that's gonna play out. Some other things that they did mention was the controllers. Now the controllers don't have to slide them in like the Nintendo. The first Nintendo did come out with it. Now they're magnets, so they're gonna be much more easier to attach and disattach. So that's gonna be pretty nice. Also, they did say that we'll be able to use the controllers as a mouse, which is gonna be pretty interesting. I'm sure they're gonna be coming out with games using the mouse system. So we're gonna have to see on that. I know in the direct they did bring out some examples of it, but I'm more excited of in the near future or in the future, what else can we use the mouse for? So we'll have to wait and see on that as well. Now, another very interesting fact about this Nintendo Switch 2 is that it's at the jump it's gonna come out with 256 gigabytes. It's a huge jump from the previous one that just came out with 32 gigabytes. So that's gonna be a pretty major change just because you're gonna be able to store more. However, now that we'll be able to play certain games, I wonder if these certain games are going to be bigger too. So we're going to have to wait and see. I know there's big games that do take out a lot of storage, and who knows how that's going to be played out, but it's good to see that we do have more gig. So that's going to be a plus as well. Now, I did mention also the game card, I guess chip, the game card itself is actually gonna have a major change at its look. It's gonna be everything's gonna be the same style, same size, same everything. However, this one's actually gonna come out in red. We're not gonna be seeing the black anymore. The black is gonna stay with the Nintendo Switch. The red is gonna be indicating it that it's gonna be the Nintendo Switch 2. And it's actually perfect because we'll get to this point a little further on in this video, but there are going to be some Nintendo Switch games that will be compatible to the Nintendo Switch 2, but we'll get to that point. However, I also wanted to jump into one of the biggest thing that just caught my eye was that they added a C button. This C button is pretty much game chat. Now, game chat is something that we've been always needing in this Nintendo journey, just because, it's always best to play with online friends, and I think Nintendo really didn't have a solid platform where you could have game chat within the game itself. Either you had to go to a third party app or whatever to be able to chat with your friends, but now we actually have game chat in the Nintendo Switch, which I'm so stoked. I think we really needed this. It was about time. I know they tried it in the first Nintendo with the Nintendo app, but it really didn't work out. But now we have it within the system, so that's perfect. At least in my eyes, that's the best thing that they could ever do. Just because you need to play with other people, and although there's a lot of games that are just story mode kind of thing, but it's always best, it's always good to always interact with other people, maybe even playing the same games that you are playing, especially when you're playing Mario Kart or Super Smash Brothers. But anyways, that's one of the biggest thing that really caught my eye when I looked into the Nintendo Switch Direct. So that was amazing. However, we are gonna have game share. I believe, and I say I believe just because I didn't know. I mostly overheard that this was a thing back in the days. I don't know which system, but I know game share was a thing. And I say it that way just because honestly, I wasn't much of a Nintendo console person. Never really fully had one, but to be quite honest, from the Super Nintendo, which is the Super Nintendo, which I think came out in the 1990s. I had it, and I jumped just right on to the Nintendo Switch. Pretty much skipped the whole Nintendo 64, GameCube, Wii U. So that's why I say it in that manner, because I missed a lot. We'll get to that later on as well. But anyways, we do have Game Share. They actually talked about it a little bit about it and how it works. And if for those that don't know, now you're gonna be able to share your game. So in this case, if you have a particular game that maybe your friend doesn't have it, you could be able to game share your game to him locally, and he doesn't necessarily have to have the game, but just because the fact that you're sharing your game to him locally, you guys will be able to play it together. So that's an interesting thing that they added in. But of course, have in mind that with game chat and game share, you will need a online membership. You're not going to get past this. You just need to have the online game membership in order to, utilize all these newer things that are coming out. I know they did mention that for a period of time it's going to be free, but eventually, you would need to purchase it. I don't know, monthly base, yearly base. I don't know how they're going to do it this time around, but it's interesting. It's going to be interesting how they're going to play that out. However, I did want to also talk about the fact that they also featured some accessories to the Nintendo Direct, which one of them was the Pro Controller. We will be getting a new Pro Controller. This controller actually looks very similar to the Nintendo Switch one. However, we will be seeing that C button like we talked about. However, they also added two newer buttons at the back of the controller, GR, GL, and we'll have to see what we could use with those buttons. So we'll have to see later on what they're used for, or if they're gonna be also part of our gaming sessions and stuff like that. I also wanted to mention that they did added a audio jack on the bottom of the controller, so that's nice as well. Also, another accessories that they actually featured is a camera. Now we will be having a camera. Of course, all of these two items are actually sold separately. They don't come with the system, so have that in mind. But going back to the camera, so the camera, it will be a way to be more interacting with either your audience, with the people that you're gonna be playing with, like your friends, families, and so on and so forth. So it's gonna be pretty nice to have a camera for those that do want to have more of a facial interaction while playing the game itself. So also have that in mind, that you also have that option to purchase. So moving on to games, they did mention that there are going to be three types of gaming for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, of course, the Nintendo Switch 2 games are going to be available physically or digital, whatever you feel more comfortable. There's also going to be the option of compatible Nintendo Switch games. So I don't think they really released the names of the games that are going to be compatible, but we're gonna have to wait and see on that portion of it. Now there's their option, which is the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So what would this mean, or what is this? So what I understood was that these are upgrade packs, which would be for the Nintendo Switch games that you already have. So if I make an example out of it, would be like if I already had Breath of the Wild and I wanted to play it in the Nintendo Switch 2, I would have to buy the upgrade pack in order for me to play it in HD or in 4K resolution. Also, maybe some perks like side quests that they might add to the game, kind of situation. So that's what I understood. That was just an example, but of course, you're gonna have to wait and see what they have in store, because these upgrades might be already implemented to the Nintendo Switch 2 games if you buy it for the Nintendo Switch 2, but these are more directing to the Nintendo Switch games. Oh, I'm really hoping I am understanding well, or you guys are understanding me. But it is a little here and there. Let's see what happens kind of situation. So we're just gonna have to wait and see for more information and what kind of games are gonna be compatible and which ones are gonna have the upgrade packs. But do expect that they will be charging for the upgrade packs. So if they're not gonna come free. So moving on to games itself. So we did see in the direct some in a few games that are going to be expected for the Nintendo Switch 2. Maybe not launching day, but do expect them soon. Now, we do know that the Nintendo Switch 2 will come out with Mario Kart World on launching day. So that's, I mean, it's about time that we got a new Mario Kart. And as far as I know about this game, is that it's gonna be an open world game, so it's gonna be very different from our previous Mario Kart games that we've been having. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see and to actually play. So it's gonna be pretty cool. I'm actually very, very, very excited for this one. But just to mention a few other games that I believe I catch that are going to be for launching is Survival Kid. We do have Cyberpunk 2077. Of course, Fortnite. Who wouldn't have that for launching? And I might be missing a few others. But as far as I know and what I catch, those are some games that will be coming out and launching. Now, they did surprise us in a big way with some games, and one of the big games that we or I wasn't expecting was Elden Ring. That's amazing, just because as far as I heard, Elden Ring was inspired by Breath of the Wild. So that's crazy that they're actually gonna have Elden Ring. But it'll be pretty cool. It'll be pretty cool to see how it's gonna be run in the Nintendo Switch. I have played it myself. Who knows? I might make a video or two of Elden Ring, so we'll just have to wait and see. But moving on to some other games that they did feature was Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. That looked pretty cool. I'm excited for that one as well. Also, one big game that they really featured was Dusk Bloods. The Dusk Bloods? I'm hoping I'm saying it right. However, this one will be coming out next year, but honestly, seeing it looks really cool. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of action. So what to expect about this one game? Well, it kind of looked a lot more like a medieval time Slayer kind of type of vibe game. I believe he's actually, well, the main character is actually like a vampire of some sort, but it looked pretty interesting. At least it caught my eye for sure. So do expect that one as well, but expect it next year, 2026. Now I wanted to jump right into the main game that really I need to buy day one. Hopefully at that time I already have a Nintendo Switch 2, but it's Donkey Kong Bonanza. Wow. Like, honestly, wow. Like, I have always been a Donkey Kong fan. I've always said my my favorite game of all time was Donkey Kong Country. It was from the Super Nintendo, and I mean, I played that game like heck. Now, I'm very excited for this Donkey Kong game just because they made it an open game, so you could run around in any direction. There's no guidelines, there's no rails to block you or take you to a specific place. This is a full on open world game, just expect it like Mario Odyssey from Nintendo. Just something like that, I don't know exactly if it's going to be exactly that way, but it look very similar to it. So yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit of some games that they did bring up. Of course, I'm chopping it a lot. You're definitely gonna see all the games that they did presented, and I'm just not gonna go over them just because there were a lot of games. But anyways, yes, I just wanted to come to you guys and talk to you a little bit of what I thought about the direct. Very exciting moments, very excited times. A lot of things are moving quickly. There's a lot of things presented to us. There's still things that we still have to figure out with the new stuff that they presented us. But hopefully once we actually get our hands on one of them, we'll definitely try them out. We'll definitely see how it works, and of course, especially with the games itself, just because they talked about like compatibility and you know Nintendo being able to be played in Nintendo Switch too, and so on and so forth. So we definitely have to really look into that. So I just wanted to say thank you for dropping by. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Do leave some comments how I could do my job better. But definitely, I really do appreciate that you gave me the time to speak to you guys. But let's get hyped. Let's get hyped for this new Nintendo Switch 2 and the new games that are coming out. But definitely, if you really did like this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and definitely leave something in the comments. And I would be more than delighted to hear from you guys. But thank you. Meet us back on Tuesday. I am planning to continue on with the Luigi Mansion 3. And thank you once again. And till next time.